If you've ever thought that quiet person in your class or at the party is totally snobby, rude, or bored aimless, you're probably getting it all wrong. And they're not giving you the silent treatment. They're protecting their superpower. So now I'm breaking down the 5 real reasons silence isn't sass. It's not personal. It's just physics. Stick around. Let's get real. One of the top complaints about quiet people is that they come off as unfriendly, aloof, or even snobby. Like, they're sitting there judging everyone, or they just can't be bothered to engage. It's easy to jump to that conclusion, right? Especially when you're used to people being super outgoing and chatty. Silence can feel intimidating, or even like a diss. But trust me, 99% of the time, it's not personal. So, what's really going on? A huge chunk of it boils down to introversion. And no, introversion isn't the same as shyness. Shyness is about fear of social judgment. Introversion is about how you get and recharge your energy. Introverts get energized by alone time. Social interactions, especially big, loud ones, actually drain their energy. So when they're quiet, they're not being rude. They're managing their energy levels. They might be listening intently, observing, processing everything, and just choosing to conserve their social battery. Think of it like this. Your phone battery doesn't die because it hates you, right? It just needs a recharge. Same for introverts. They might need to step back, recharge, and then they'll be ready to engage again. Maybe in a smaller, more focused way. Another big piece of the puzzle. Processing style. Quiet people, especially introverts, often process information internally. They're not just quiet for the sake of it. They're often thinking deeply, analyzing, and formulating their thoughts before they speak. This means they're usually fantastic listeners and keen observers. They're picking up on details others might miss. They're weighing their words, making sure what they say actually adds value. So when they're silent, they might actually be super engaged, just in a different way than someone who's constantly vocalizing every thought. They're not aloof. They're often just running a whole complex thought process in their head. They might have incredibly insightful things to say. They just need a moment or the right opportunity to share them. So, how do you actually connect with someone who seems quiet? Don't push them into the spotlight. Try a one-on-one conversation instead of a group interrogation. Ask open-ended questions that go beyond a simple yes, or no. Remember, their quietness isn't a rejection of you. It's just part of who they are. They might actually be super warm, loyal, and incredibly interesting once you get past that initial surface. Give them space, show genuine interest, and be patient. You might just uncover a really awesome connection. Main reasons the silent types are silent, and why it's a huge L to assume they're hiding something. The number one reason? They're introverted. And no, that just means their social battery is wired differently. Extroverts gain energy from social interaction, from talking, from being loud. Think of a smartphone charging while plugged into a group convo. Introverts spend energy in those same situations. Every word spoken, every interaction uses up their mental bandwidth. They're not being secretive, they're being resourceful with their energy. They're not hiding a conspiracy. They're just protecting their charge until they can process all the social data they just absorbed. It's not personal, it's power management. Next up, deep processing. Quiet people are often master observers. While others are talking, they're not just mentally checking out, they're mentally downloading. Think of their brain as a computer with a massive RAM. When you speak, they don't give an immediate, surface-level response. They are running a complex algorithm. 1. Analyze what you said. 2. Analyze the context/subtext. 3. Formulate the most accurate, concise response. They're weighing their words because they value quality over quantity. The silence isn't a wall, it's a load-in screen. When they finally do speak, their words often carry more weight because they've been fully processed. Both. They aren't secretive, they're selective about their communication. Okay, let's talk about a more sensitive reason: anxiety and overstimulation. For some, being quiet isn't a choice, it's a laun, self-defense mechanism. Social situations can feel like being hit by a tidal wave of noise, lights, and expectations. Their brain's fight or flight system might be triggered, leading to a freeze response. They want to talk, but their body is literally telling them to shut down to stay safe. They aren't withholding information to be rude or mysterious. They're struggling to find the cognitive space to articulate their thoughts over the internal noise. The greatest secret they might be hiding is just a massive wave of social discomfort. Think of your brain like a web browser. When you're talking, you have a lot of tabs open, expressing, reacting, debating, remembering. When a quiet person is listening, they're often running a different kind of load. They're in deep listening mode. They're not just waiting for their turn to talk. They're analyzing what you're saying, filtering it through their existing knowledge, and constructing a response that adds value, not just noise. They're trying to figure out the meaning behind the words. They want to respond well, and that takes processing time. They are hyper-engaged, just internally. This connects directly to introversion and energy. For an extrovert, talking is an easy way to process thoughts. They figure out what they think by saying it out loud. For a quiet person, often an introvert, talking is the final step in a long process. They need to fully assemble the thought internally before they release it. Their silence is them, deep diving into the discussion. They might be quiet because they are so focused on your words, they forget to perform the social function of nodding enthusiastically or jumping in. They aren't disinterested, they're simply not performing for the crowd. And here's a reality check. Sometimes the conversation itself just doesn't meet their threshold for engagement. Quiet people are often selective communicators. They save their energy for topics they genuinely care about or things they feel they can contribute meaningfully to. If the conversation is surface-level small talk or just gossip, they might opt out of contributing, not because they're being rude, but because they prioritize depth and authenticity. They're not going to jump in just to fill the silence. They're being respectful of their own time and energy. Let's talk about trust and vulnerability. For many quiet people, sharing personal information is a high-stakes psychological action. It's not casual small talk. It's a profound act of vulnerability. This is often linked to being introverted, which means they process experiences deeply. When they share something, they're not just sharing a fact. They've already processed the emotional weight of that fact. Another factor is the way they communicate emotion. Many quiet people are internalizers. When they are happy, sad, or stressed, the strong emotions happen inside them. They don't always wear their heart on their sleeve or express every feeling the moment it happens. This can make them seem emotionally distant or unreadable. You might think you don't know them because you can't tell if they're excited or anxious, but they are feeling it. They just process it privately. You have to learn to read their micro expressions and subtle cues rather than waiting for a huge emotional outburst. This requires the other person to be a good listener and observer too. Whether you're a chatty extrovert or a deep-thinking introvert, understanding this psychology makes the whole world make more sense. Drop a comment below and tell me. What's the biggest misconception people have about your quiet time? Don't forget to share this with your quietest and loudest friends. See you in the next video.